So the other day, I was driving home from the airport, and I got off of a 9:30 flight. Was on the road by like 10:30 after I got my car and my bags. And I got in the car, and I don't know, I just didn't leave for like 20 minutes or something. I wasn't really too tired while I was rushing to the airport like I always do, and rushing to turn in the car, and then rushing to sit down in my seat, and then it was all kind of glitches going on. But after I sat down in my seat, I got a chance to look out of the window. After having a massive back and forth, it was tactful though with my seatmate, because I had the aisle seat, he had the window seat, but my aisle seat was next to his mother. And so I asked him if he wanted to have that seat because he has long legs. And it's also next to his mama. And he said, she tried to interject, but then he spoke up and said, it really doesn't matter to me. And I said, okay, well, I would like the window seat. I'll take the window seat. So I went ahead and I took the window seat. Now, I sat in the window and I looked out of it, and it was a very eerie looking night. It wasn't quite dark all the way. It wasn't bright. And I just peered out of the window. And after rushing so fast to get to the airport and looking out the window and being happy that I had made my flight, because I left my children at less than an hour and a half before then, so I can hurry up and get to the airport to get on this flight. And I knew I had to get to the flight like 20-30 minutes before it left, and I know there was like 15 minutes before it takes off. You can't be there inside the airport. You have to be on the plane. And I had a lot to do before I got there. I had to drive for like 20 minutes to get there, and then turn in the car. And I left them less than an hour and a half before then. So I had to get through security, and I was held up there too. It was a lot. And so I had a moment to breathe. But then I realized I literally breathed just one breath out. And I looked at the road, and I thought to myself, I'm leaving my children again. And I thought about my son's last words to me before I left, and he said, Mommy, when you go, I go back to my sad place. And I was struck so hard. And I always film our hellos and goodbyes. I don't know at the time whether or not my phone had picked that up, but it did. And it's very humbling, because I miss him so much too. The moment I'm about to leave is the moment he gets sad. But the whole morning leading up to that moment, I am on pins and needles, because I know that moment is coming for not just him, but for me too. And I miss my daughter, and I miss my son. And I know that I am leaving them in the hands of a very evil man and a very evil stepmother. And on my way to the airport to fly to see them down south, I looked at something and I thought to myself, this is being treated like a stepchild. And I thought about Cinderella, and I chuckled to myself for literally half a second before I said, stepchild, 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 stepmother, my kids, stepchildren. And I didn't smile anymore. It's no longer a joke. It's no longer something that's a punchline. This is real. And my children are stepchildren. I think about my childhood And when I became a stepchild, and how that woman wreaked all kinds of havoc in my life, wreaked all kinds of havoc in my father's life, and how they used to fight all the time, and how that shaped how I remember him and her and everything, and how that was the last time that I got a chance to spend the night with my father, surrounded in nothing but chaos, wanting her to just leave my father alone and shut the hell up. Understanding why he broke her face. She wouldn't shut the fuck up. And she deserved that punch in her face. And she deserved the broken nose that she got. And she deserved the stream of blood that came down it. I lived the next 10 years without my father before I received him back in a box because of that bitch. But just knowing that my children are not looking at the same situation, they're looking at a man who cannot stand them and is using them specifically only as pawns. They're not only stepchildren to her, they're stepchildren to him too, because he wants my money. He doesn't give a shit about my children. I have to travel 1,000 miles just so I can groom my children. I have to spend $200,000 in court just so I can get vindication because he is white and I am not. And my children are living a stepchildren's life. See, I love my father. They don't love him because he treats them like shit. And they only want to come home with me. And I am only available to come and see them once a month because who can afford to travel 8 to 1,000 miles? 800 to 1,000 miles each and every time the weekend rolls around. You can't, it's kind of impossible unless you have a jet. I'm not rich. I don't have a lot of money. And so this is the hand that I'm dealt for right now. But I believe in God, and I believe that he will right this wrong. And he will punish him for breaking up a happy family. I was the only constant in my children's lives, and he thinks that it's okay to leave my children with someone that they barely even know. Well, he runs off and does his military stuff. It's not right. It's not right. I think about my mother and the heartache that she had to have had endured. Because my mother didn't get a chance to see me every month, every 3 months, every 6 months, or even every year. My mother had to go years without seeing me or hearing from me or about me. My mother had to be ready to take care of me as soon as she came home because she got herself into some trouble. What black women don't. What black person don't. What person of any color, brown, don't. If you're yellow, I guess you're mellow. But if you're brown, get down. If you're black, get back. And I think about all of the sacrifices that my mom made to make sure that she sent home hundreds of dollars for us. All of the days that she went to work for 80 cents a day, and she would send home $300. All of the overtime that she put in to make sure that she had stuff ready for us. I think about all of the people she came in contact with and all of the bullshit that she had to put up with just to make sure that when she got her children back, she could provide for them. And we thought that my mother had abandoned us, and we lost faith and trust in her. And we called her that lady for many years when she came back. I refused because I knew what it was like not to have my mom or my dad around. And I just wanted a parent. I just wanted a parent to be there for me. And my mom, I treated her like she really didn't matter as much as she did. But my sisters, they treated her worse. But through me and my kindness to her and me telling my sisters that, it's really not fair to call her that lady. She's our mother. And me not knowing all of the sacrifices that she made and how she couldn't just drop everything and come and get me. How she wasn't there for me when I was in trouble and in danger. How I wanted to be rocked to sleep. How I wanted to be taught how to be a girl. How to be feminine. She wasn't there for that, and I held it against her. Not knowing all of the things that she did to ensure the best of her abilities that she was doing right for us and by us. How she lived her life for us. And how I feel like a failure every time I leave my children with that man because the court says that he can take care of them by no other measure but he's white. And it hurts because I don't want my children to ever think that I abandoned them. I never want my children to think that this is what I wanted. I make sure they know that their father took them from me and the cushy life that they had and the only thing that they knew. I made sure of that. And I make sure that I call my children and I read to them every night as best I can. But I'm so tired. I'm so tired. And when I was on that plane and I'm looking out the window, all that came crashing back to me because I had a moment. And I cried at that window in front of everybody on the plane, and I put my hand on the window because I miss my children so much. And I didn't want to leave them. I didn't want to leave my children. I don't know what kind of stuff they go through without me there. They tell me that they're okay, but I know that they're not. When I talk to them, I say, "How does your day go?" They say, "It was good." And I know that they think that they're doing me a favor by saying that, but I know that there's no way that they can cry to me every time I see them and beg to stay with me, that every day is actually good. And I appreciate my mother so much more every day. I don't like it when people have problems with their moms because of small things. Because they don't understand what I understand. That when they go and they're dead and no longer with us and we have to bury them, we don't understand the sacrifices that they made and how human they were and how imperfect we all are. And then I realized that I never really knew my mother as best I thought I did until she died. And I could have been so much more of a better child. I could have given her more grace. I don't want my children to give me grace. I want their father to give up. I want their father to have a heart. I want this injustice to be righted. And I want my children back in an environment where they're loved and taken care of. And they're not stepchildren or pawns to anyone. And I know that I have to keep on fighting for them, no matter what they think of me.
Seriously, thank you so much for staying and tuning in. And I hope you learned something. I hope you can reflect on this yourself. And stay tuned for Mufti Mink. He's going to be talking about mamas.
O Messenger, Man ahaqqun nasa bihusni suhbati. Who is, from all the people, the most deserving of my kindness? Notice the term used is not obedience, it's kindness. Obedience is for Allah. Who is, from all the people, most deserving of my kindness? The response came in a flash, your mother, ummuka. Qala thumma man? Qala ummuka. Qala thumma man? Ummuka. Allahu Akbar, your mother. Who is the most deserving of my kindness? Your mother. And then who? Your mother. And then who? Your mother. And then your father. What does that mean? Those who gave birth to you are deserving of what? Your kindness. Be kind. Watch your words. You can disagree strongly with your mother because she's a human. She could be making a mistake. She could have said things. She could be rough. She might have bad characteristics, bad habits. All that in its place. Be kind. Watch your words. Be respectful. Do not drop your goodness because your mother dropped her goodness. That's what we're taught. And your father too. Talk to them. Speak to them, respect them, honor them. They may be busy doing whatever they're doing. According to you, they might not even have had time for you. It's okay. Are you kind? Yes, I'm kind. Do you fulfill the rights on you? Why should I not fulfill the rights upon me for someone else just because they didn't do their part? Don't do that. Allah is watching them and watching you. They might have failed. Does it mean you should fail as well? Don't fail. Be good, be kind. It happens a lot the other way around. What does this mean? As parents, your children grow up and after a while you feel they've abandoned us, they don't even phone us, they're not even interested, and then you get grandchildren, and if you're lucky you have a moment with them. If not, nowadays they don't even want to see you. So grandpa and grandma are somewhere in the museum, subhanallah. We might visit them once in a while, just for once in a year or maybe a little bit more or less, depending on where they are. Yes, communicate, talk to them. They might pick on you, not because they hate you, because they love you, but they may belong to a slightly earlier generation, right? They may be thinking slightly different. It's okay. Tolerate it. Be kind because Allah is watching you. So the parents sometimes, they tend to think that, you know what, my child has abandoned me. No, they haven't. They're just busy. They need a bit of guidance. Make it easy for them. Don't make it difficult for them. When they come to visit you, don't pick on XYZ. They will stop coming. Nowadays, that's what happens. You have a child coming, your own children, when they come in your presence, and the only thing you can do is to pick on your shoes, your hairstyle, your this, your watch, the way you're wearing your shirt, your trouser. They will not want to see your face ever again. We're going to see granny, or I'm going to see my mom. No, I don't want to even go. You know what? They pick on everything. So be careful. My beloved parents, yes, it's your duty to say, but you need to also think where you live, what are the times, how to communicate. Why don't you commend the good instead of just attacking the bad? It's a test upon you, your shoulders. You need to know, realize, understand. It's Allah, Allah's plan. He made them connected to you, but the test is yours. Be kind.